Hey, I'm Kate. My story isn't the kind you're used to, it's a bit rough around the edges, kind of like me, I guess. I was only 5 when my dad decided he'd had enough. Just up and left one day. My mom, Clara, she didn't take it too well. Can't say I blame her, but I sure as hell got the short end of the stick. Kate, do your damn chores. Clara's voice would cut through the silence of our small, cluttered house like a knife. She had this way of making me feel like I was nothing but a burden. I'm doing them, Mom. I'd shoot back, trying to keep my voice steady. I learned early on that talking back only made things worse, but sometimes I couldn't help myself. She'd just scoff, muttering something about me being just as useless as my dad. That stung. I didn't even remember him that well, but according to Clara, I was a spitting image, a constant, living reminder of the man who left us. Most days, she'd be out, trying to scrape together a life for us, or that's what she claimed. I spent a lot of nights alone, or worse, with her friends who barely tolerated my presence. Keep an eye on Kate, she'd say, as if I was some pet she couldn't be bothered to care for. The few times she was home, affection was in short supply, a head pat here, a distracted aha there as I tried to tell her about my day. It was like talking to a wall. One evening, I tried to hug her. I just wanted to feel like her daughter, you know? She stiffened up and pushed me away. What do you want now? She snapped, eyeing me like I'd asked for the moon. Nothing, I mumbled, stepping back. I learned to stop asking for hugs after that. School wasn't much better. I was the quiet kid, the one with the hand-me-down clothes, and the absent mom at every parent-teacher meeting. Why is your mom never here, Kate? The other kids would ask. What was I supposed to say? That she didn't care? One day, Clara came home in a foul mood, worse than usual. She'd had a fight with one of her friends, the kind that was supposed to watch me, but just let me fend for myself. Why can't you be more like other kids, Kate? Look at you, sitting there with your stupid books. You're just like your father, a complete waste of space. I bit my lip, holding back tears. Arguing would only make it worse. Sorry, Mom, was all I could say, even though I didn't understand what I was apologizing for. I lay in bed that night, the silence of the house echoing loudly around me, its emptiness a stark reminder of how unloved and unwanted I felt. I made a silent promise to myself that I wouldn't end up bitter and alone like Clara. I didn't know how yet, but I had to believe there was more to life than this never-ending cycle of neglect. Then, almost as if fate had heard my silent pleas, Mark came into our lives. Mom married him in a whirlwind romance, and suddenly, it seemed like we were a family again. But that brief illusion of normalcy shattered when Lily was born. With her arrival, I faded into the background, a ghost wandering the halls of what no longer felt like home. Kate, look at your sister. Why can't you be more like her? Mom would often say, her eyes fixated on Lily with a warmth and affection that I hadn't seen in years. I tried to recall the last time she had looked at me that way, but my memories came up empty. I would shrug, attempting to brush off the sting of her words. What do you mean, Mom? I'd ask, though I knew better than to expect an answer. She sighed, a sound thick with frustration and disappointment. Lily is so put together, so delicate, and you're always in those baggy clothes, hiding who knows what. You could be pretty if you tried. Sometimes Mark would interject, his voice a calm, gentle mediator in our often stormy household. Clara, Kate's fine the way she is. She's smart, kind. But Mom would cut him off, her voice ice cold. I'm talking to my daughter, Mark. Stay out of this. The divide between Lily and me only grew as she embraced her role as the cherished child. She knew she was the favorite and used it to her advantage, sabotaging me with a smile. Mom, Kate won't share her makeup with me, Lily would lie, knowing full well I barely had enough for myself. I bought that for both of you, Mom would snap at me without bothering to check the truth. Why do you always have to be so selfish? I would start to respond, only to be silenced by a look from her. Mark, bless his heart, tried to make peace, but his efforts were often in vain. One evening, as I helped Lily with her homework, she deliberately knocked her glass of juice over my papers. "Oops," she said, not a hint of remorse in her voice. "Lily, apologize to your sister," Mark said firmly, having witnessed the scene. Lily pouted, turning her manipulation skills on full display. "I didn't mean to, Daddy." "I'm sorry, Kate," she lied, her apology as empty as her gaze. Mom walked in at the tail end, her eyes darting between us. Without missing a beat, she sided with Lily. "Kate, can you see she's sorry? Stop making a scene and clean this up." I cleaned up the mess, the injustice of it all burning in my chest. It was always the same, Lily's word against mine, and I was always the villain in Mom's eyes. One day, feeling a mix of desperation and longing for a connection, I called Mark Dad in a moment of vulnerability. It slipped out as naturally as breathing, but the fallout was immediate and harsh. Mom's face twisted into a mask of fury. "How dare you? You have a father, Kate, and Mark is not him. You're just trying to replace him because he didn't want you." Her words were like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. Mark looked stricken, caught between his wife and stepdaughter, a silent witness to my humiliation. My voice broke, the hurt too deep for tears. I thought. What? That you could just pretend everything's okay? That you could make us a perfect little family? Mom's voice was venomous, each word a pointed dagger aimed straight at my heart. In the end, I retreated to my room, the sound of Lily's laughter echoing behind me. I was the outsider, the unwanted, living in a house divided by favoritism and silent battles. Mark tried to offer solace, but his kindness was a balm on a wound too deep to heal. Growing up wasn't easy, not by a long shot. As I hit my teen years, things at home went from bad to downright miserable. Mom's critiques got harsher, and Lily, well, she was blossoming into a mini tyrant with Mom as her biggest cheerleader. One afternoon, I was trying on clothes in my room, the door barely cracked open. I could hear Lily's snickers from the hallway. "Look at Kate, trying to dress up, like putting lipstick on a pig," she jeered, not even bothering to lower her voice. I flinched, the sting of her words hitting harder than I wanted to admit. "Shut up, Lily," I snapped back, more hurt than angry. Mom's voice cut through the tension like a hot knife. "Kate, don't talk to your sister like that. And Lily's right, you know, those clothes do nothing for you." I stood there, a mix of anger and humiliation washing over me. I wanted to scream, to tell them both off, but I knew it would only make things worse. Mark wandered in, oblivious to the brewing storm. "What's all the noise about?" he asked, looking between us. "Lily's just being her usual charming self," I muttered, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Mark sighed, a look of resignation on his face. "Girls, can't we all just get along for once?" "Tell her to stop picking on me then," Lily whined, playing the victim as usual. Her tactics were familiar, but no less infuriating. Her ability to twist situations to her favor was a talent she wielded with expert precision, and once again, I was left standing, feeling the familiar crush of being the outcast in my own home. She always did. "I'm not the one starting things," I protested, but it fell on deaf ears. Mark just shook his head and walked away, leaving me to fend for myself yet again. The next day at school, I overheard some kids talking about a party. For a fleeting moment, I entertained the idea of going, of being normal, for a change. But then reality crashed back in. I couldn't bring anyone home. Mom would make sure any friend or boy I liked would run for the hills with her comments. One evening, Mom was on one of her tirades about my appearance. "You could be pretty if you actually tried, Kate. Look at Lily, she takes care of herself." I was at my breaking point. "Why do you always compare me to her? I'm not Lily." Mom just rolled her eyes. "Because she sets a good example. You could learn a lot from your sister." The words felt like a slap in the face. It was always Lily, always about how perfect she was, and how I just couldn't measure up. I stormed off, my heart pounding in my chest. Alone in my room, I let the tears come. It was clear I was the odd one out in this family, the constant disappointment. No matter how hard I tried, it felt like it would never be enough. Finding love should have been exciting, right? For most people maybe, but for me, it felt like walking through a minefield blindfolded. After everything at home, I was hungry for a bit of tenderness, something real and warm. But every time I thought I found it, boom, everything blew up in my face. I met Jake at work. He was funny, had a killer smile, and didn't seem to mind my awkwardness. We hit it off, and for a minute there, I thought, hey, maybe this could be it. One night, I decided to bring him home, thinking it'd be safe. Big mistake. Kate, who's this? Mom asked, eyeing Jake like he was some bug she found under the sink. This is Jake, Mom. We work together, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Jake reached out, all polite and smiling. Nice to meet you, ma'am. Mom just nodded, her smile tight. Once we sat down, it started. It was like she had a radar for my vulnerabilities. So, Jake, Kate's not much of a looker, but she's got a good heart, I suppose. Keeps her room clean, that's something, right? Mom's voice was all sweet poison, her words slathered in fake honey. I could feel my cheeks burning, my heart sinking. Jake looked at me, confusion and pity in his eyes. That look, it just about killed me, actually. I think Kate's great, really smart and funny, Jake said, trying to defend me, but Mom wasn't having it. Oh sure, but you know, boys always got to be careful. Girls like Kate, they get clingy, think every date means wedding bells. Mom went on, each word a dagger. The evening couldn't end fast enough. Jake left, and so did any hope of us. He was cool at work, but distant. Couldn't blame him. Who'd want to dive into that hot mess? It wasn't just Jake. There was Tom, Darren, and a few others, different faces, same story. Mom would either scare them off with her warnings, or Lily would do her part, spilling some made-up scandal about me. I stopped bringing guys home after that, started meeting them outside, but the damage was done. My confidence was shot, every date felt like a ticking time bomb, waiting for the moment they'd find out about my crazy family and bail. One night, after another failed date, I came home to find Mark sitting in the living room alone. Rough night? He asked, the TV casting shadows on his tired face. Yeah, you could say that, I replied, slumping down beside him. Kate, you're a catch, you know that? Any guy would be lucky to have you, Mark said, sincere as always. I wanted to believe him, really I did, but belief was a luxury I couldn't afford, not with Mom and Lily always there, ready to remind me I wasn't enough. Thanks, Mark. Just got to keep looking, right? I forced a smile, but inside, I was crumbling. Yeah, keep looking. He's out there, Kate, someone who'll see you for the amazing person you are, Mark encouraged, his optimism a faint light in the darkness. I nodded, not really convinced, but grateful for Mark's belief in me. Maybe one day I'd find someone who looked past the mess, saw me, and stayed. Until then, I'd keep searching, hoping for a love that could withstand the chaos of my life. A few years down the road, and here I am, Kate, at 27, carving out a slice of life for myself. I've got a decent job as an economist at this big company, and I've been living in my little slice of independence, a small apartment that's all mine. But the real game changer was meeting Alex. He's not just some guy, he's the guy, the one I can actually picture the whole, till death do us part scenario with. One evening, lounging on my thrift store couch, Alex turned to me, his eyes serious, but kind. Kate, he started. I know how complicated my family dynamics are, but facing them seemed more daunting than ever. Alex, ever supportive, took my hand, his thumb brushing against mine. Hey, we all have our brand of crazy at home. How bad can it be? He asked with a lightness I wished I could feel. I sighed, the weight of years heavy on my shoulders, and I spilled the beans about the whole ordeal with Mom and Lily, not leaving out a single gritty detail. Surprisingly, he didn't bolt. Instead, he squeezed my hand tighter. We'll face them together, he said, and just like that, I felt a bit braver. So, I bit the bullet and called Mark. Out of everyone, he's been a steady rock in the shifting sands of my family drama. Mark, I've got news. I'm seeing someone, Alex, and we're engaged. There was a pause, and then, Kate, that's fantastic. When do we get to meet him? Mark's enthusiasm was like a warm blanket. He didn't skip a beat, jumping straight to when, not if. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Soon, Mark. I'm a bit on edge about Mom and Lily. Don't you worry, I'll smooth things over on this end. Just bring that young man over. It's about time there was some good news around here. Hanging up, I turned to Alex, who'd been watching me with a mix of curiosity and concern. Well, Mark's on board. Looks like we're doing this, he grinned, pulling me into a hug. See, step one down. We'll handle the rest just fine. But as the day approached, I couldn't shake off the nerves. Meeting Alex's folks went better than I could have hoped. They were warm, welcoming, everything you'd want in potential in-laws. It gave me a sliver of hope, maybe too much. Now, as I paced the length of my living room, I tried to muster that same hope for the upcoming dinner at my family's house. Alex, ever the optimist, assured me it would be all right, but deep down, I knew the storm that was brewing. It was going to be a showdown, my past against my future. But with Alex by my side, I felt a tad more courageous. Still, I couldn't help but run through every possible scenario, each ending more dramatic than the last. Kate, it'll be okay, Alex said, catching me mid-pace and pulling me into his arms. Whatever happens, we're in it together. The air was thick as Alex and I approached my mom's house, both of us bracing for what was coming. Nodded, understanding more than I had expected anyone to. No worries, Kate. It's clear she has her, let's say, ambitions and methods. But hey, I'm here with you, not the accolades. The drive back to our place was quiet, the night's events settling around us like a thick fog. The way Mom had switched gears the moment she realized Alex's professional stature was both embarrassing and sadly predictable. She had always valued success and appearances over genuine relationships, a trait that tonight was on full display. Your mom really knows how to play the game, huh? Alex said after a pause, trying to make light of the situation. Yeah, she's always been like that. Ambitious to a fault, especially when it comes to using others to elevate her own status, I replied, feeling a mix of resentment and resignation. But you know, it's kind of funny, Alex continued, squeezing my hand. She thinks she's being slick, but it's so obvious. It's almost like watching a bad play, where you can predict every line before it's spoken. I chuckled, grateful for his perspective. Exactly. It's all a performance. And tonight, you were the guest star. Alex grinned. Well, I hope I played my part well. Just remember, I'm on your team, and no amount of schmoozing from your mom can change where my loyalties lie. That reassurance meant the world to me. Despite the undercurrents of manipulation at dinner, Alex's steadfastness reminded me that not everything in my life had to be a battle. There was simplicity and honesty in what we had, a stark contrast to the family dynamics I had grown up with. As long as we're clear on that, I think we can handle whatever your mom throws our way, he said confidently. Thanks, Alex. Honestly, having you there made all the difference. It's like you're my shield against the craziness of my family. And you're mine against the rest of the world, he replied, pulling me closer. It was a perfect moment of peace after a tumultuous evening. As we drove under the starlit sky, I felt a sense of security that had been absent for much of my life. No matter what my family's situation was, with Alex, I could face it head-on. Once home, I reflected on the evening. Despite the familiar frustration, there was a newfound sense of hope. With Alex by my side, equipped with his understanding and support, maybe, just maybe, I could navigate the tricky waters of family relationships without losing myself in the process. Next time, though, let's have them over to our place, I suggested, where we can control the narrative a bit more. Absolutely, Alex agreed, your turf, your rules. Laughing together, we stepped inside, ready to leave the evening's drama behind and look forward to our future, just the two of us against the world. To reveal the truth today. I took a deep breath, summoning all the courage I had. Actually, Mom, Alex is here. And he hasn't chosen anyone over me. Confusion spread across her face, mirroring Mark's. Alex stepped forward, holding up the dictaphone. We have something you need to hear, he said, his voice steady but firm. I watched as Mom's smug smile faded into a mask of uncertainty. What is this? She demanded, her voice losing its usual confidence. Let's just listen, I said, pressing play on the device. The room filled with the sound of her voice, cold